Hello there, my sweet little friends. Welcome to today's special explainer. I am just so happy you're here with me. Today, we're going to open up a magical book of memories and dive into a truly beautiful real-life story. It's all about a little boy, probably right around your age, and his absolute favorite person in the whole wide world, his wonderful grandmother. We're going to explore all the amazing things they did together. So get nice and cozy, and let's jump right in.
So, let me ask you, are you ready to hear this wonderful story? If you are, give me a big nod of your head. Oh, I see those nods. Okay, before we go any further, I want you to close your eyes for just one tiny second. Think about a special grandparent or maybe an elder in your family that you love very much. Think about their super warm hugs and their bright, kind smiles. You got them in your mind? Awesome. Well, that warm, happy feeling, that's exactly how the little boy in our story felt about his grandmother. Let's see what she was like.
Now, the little boy actually grew up to be a writer named Kushwant Singh, and he wrote some really beautiful words about her. He said she was kind of like a gorgeous snowy mountain in the winter. Can you imagine a huge, quiet mountain covered in bright, soft, sparkly white snow? Well, that is exactly how his grandmother looked. She wore crisp, clean white clothes every single day, and she had this beautiful, shiny silver hair that fell softly around her face. Honestly, just looking at her made the little boy feel so peaceful and safe, kind of like a warm hug on a chilly day.
And oh my goodness, they had the absolute most fun mornings together. Every single day was like a little adventure. First, she would gently wake the little boy up, and while she gave him a bath and got him dressed, she would sing her morning prayers in this lovely, sweet voice. She really hoped he would learn the song too, and he just loved listening to her. Then came the absolute best part, breakfast. They would eat a thick, soft chapati, perfectly spread with yummy yellow butter and sprinkled with sweet sugar. Doesn't that sound so delicious? After rubbing their full tummies, they'd hold hands and walk together to his little village school.
But wait, the grandmother had a very special secret. She didn't just bring breakfast for the little boy. Oh no, she was so kind that she always carried extra, day-old chapatis right in her hands. And do you know why? Because when they reached the temple next to the school, there were these happy, bouncy village dogs waiting for them. The dogs would go woof, woof, and jump all around, wagging their little tails. The grandmother would throw them pieces of chapati, and the doggies would happily follow them all the way back home, playfully growling at each other. They were basically her furry little best friends.
Well, one day, things changed. The little boy and his grandmother had to pack up all their bags and move far away to a big, bustling city. Can you imagine moving to a totally new place? Back in the village, they used to walk to the temple together. But in the city, the boy started going to a new English school. And he didn't walk anymore, actually. He rode on a big, loud, rumbling motor bus. Vroom, vroom. And sadly, there were no village dogs on the busy city streets for the grandmother to feed. But don't you worry, she actually found some new tiny friends to share her snacks with. Little chirping sparrows.
Now, just like how you get a little bit taller every time you have a birthday, well, the boy grew up too. Time was passing by. First, he was just a little boy at the village school. Then he got bigger and went to the city school. And finally, he became a very big boy, a young man, and went away to a huge university. Because he was so big, he got his very own room to study in, which meant he couldn't spend quite as much time playing with his grandmother anymore.
So what do you think the grandmother did all day while the big boy was studying his heavy books? Well, she was just very peaceful. From the time the sun woke up in the morning until it went to sleep at night, she sat quietly by her wooden spinning wheel. Round and round the wheel would go. And while her hands were busy spinning, her lips were always moving, whispering sweet, quiet prayers. She was perfectly happy, just resting right there in her quiet room.
But her absolute favorite time of the whole day, the happiest half hour for sure, was in the afternoon. Remember those little sparrows we talked about earlier? She would sit right out in the sunshine and break little pieces of bread. And suddenly hundreds of little birds would come flying right in, chirp, chirp, chirp. They made such a happy, noisy sound. And you have to see where they sat. Some birds landed right on her legs, some fluttered down and sat on her shoulders, and oh my goodness, some silly little birds even sat right on top of her head. She never shooed them away though. She just smiled her beautiful, warm smile.
Later on, the boy had to go very far away to study for 5 whole years. When he finally came back home, oh my goodness, you should have seen the grandmother. She was just so incredibly excited. That evening, she didn't even say her prayers. Nope. Instead, she called all the ladies in the neighborhood, found an old, worn-out drum, and started to play. Boom, boom, thud, thud. She beat the drum and sang super loud, happy songs about her boy coming home. It was literally the biggest, loudest, happiest party ever.
But then, the very next morning, the poor grandmother felt a little tired and got a mild fever. She just kind of knew in her heart that she was very, very old, and it was time for her to rest. So she lay down in her cozy bed. She took her little prayer beads in her hands, and with a very soft, quiet breath, she went to a peaceful sleep forever. She wasn't hurting at all. She just looked incredibly calm, kind of like that beautiful snowy mountain we imagined earlier.
And then something very magical and honestly a little bit sad happened. The family wrapped her in a beautiful red cloth. The sun was shining this lovely golden light into the room, and suddenly, all over the floor, thousands of her little sparrow friends came to visit her one last time. But you know what? There was absolutely no chirp, 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 not a single sound. The birds sat perfectly still and completely quiet. They were just sad that their kind friend was asleep, and they came to say a very quiet, sweet goodbye. The boy's mother felt so sorry for the quiet little birds. She remembered how much the grandmother loved them, so she broke some bread into tiny crumbs and threw it to them, exactly like the grandmother used to do. But you know, the little birds didn't even look at the bread. They didn't eat a single crumb. When the family carried the grandmother away, all the little sparrows just flapped their wings, flap, 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 and flew away silently into the big blue sky. It really showed just how deeply they loved her, way more than the food she gave them.
Now, this beautiful feeling connects to a lovely poem called A Photograph by Shirley Tolson. Just like the boy remembered his sweet grandmother, this poem explains how looking at an old photograph of someone we love brings back their happy laughter. Even when people we love have gone to sleep forever, we can look at a picture of them having fun, maybe at the beach or eating yummy chapatis, and we can almost hear them laughing again. That memory becomes a very special treasure that we get to keep safe in our hearts forever and ever.
So, the biggest thing we take away from our explainer today is that the love we share with our family never, ever goes away. It stays right inside our hearts. Now, I have one last question for you to think about. What is your favorite memory that makes you smile super big? Maybe it's a favorite photo you have with your grandma, your grandpa, or anyone who loves you very much. I want you to go find that photo today, give it a really big hug, and ask your family to tell you more stories about it. Thank you so much for exploring this beautiful story with me today. Stay curious and keep smiling.